Hi all, in this video we are going to learn how to do API testing using Postman. Okay, so there are so many tools which is similar to Postman like Insomnia or Postman, or you can do API testing in Jmeter as well. There are some other tools like Visual Studio. There are so many tools at the editor level like in IntelliJ, NetBeans. You can do API testing, but for if you're using IntelliJ or Visual Studio or Eclipse, you can use Rest Assured. But if you're doing if you want to do manual testing of APIs, if you want to execute API manually, or if you want to see how the API response is, for that definitely the first step would be doing API testing in Postman. So in this video we are going to learn how to do end-to-end automation of API using Postman. Okay, I'm sure you would be knowing some of the basics of APIs, like what is API and how API works, what is get call, what is post call, what is put call, what is delete. Like I'm sure that you would be knowing those basics. If you don't have idea about API, so I will suggest you visit visit the page of my channel. There I have made a one video based on like what is API and how API works. If you are clear with your fundamentals, this session will be very helpful. Okay. In API, basically there are some type of method like get method, put method, post method, and delete method. So get method basically used for getting details of an user or getting details basically. Post for creating some new data, put for updating the existing data, and delete for deleting those data. Okay. So the first thing would be like you should know those basics, and if you want to do API testing, I will suggest you refer this website regress.in. Okay, here you can get some of the sample of APIs. Okay, ideally UI testing is very easy. You can visit any website. Okay, and you can do UI testing, UI automation testing using any language like Java, Selenium, or using Python, C Sharp, Ruby. You can choose any website for UI testing. But for API testing, the main requirement would be that browsers or that portal or that application should expose the API basically. If application is not exposing API, it's very difficult to learn API testing. So this is just a dummy website where you can see there are so many APIs they have already provided. These are the get call. Again, this is the post call, put call, patch, delete. Almost all kind of APIs are available here. Okay, so I will suggest you, please refer this website for to learn basic API testing. Okay, so to start the API automation or API testing, you should have some basic idea about the URLs. So this is your URL, https colon followed by double forward slash and request.in. So this is the base path or base URL. Okay, I want to test this API. Let's suppose get list of users. I will click here. So it is saying the path is till here, request.in slash API slash users. And after question mark, basically it's a query param. Okay. In interviewer can ask you like what is query param. Simply you can say whatever is available after this question mark can be query param. So here the query param is page equals to 2. Basically it means I want to fetch details of page number 2. Okay. So I will use this base URL and this path, and this is the sample response. Okay, I will verify if this response is correct or not in Postman. Okay, and this status code should be 200. 200 means APIs are working fine. If you want to see these details, let's suppose if response and this API details is not provided on the UI, what you can do? You can you can do right click and just click on this inspect button. Okay, once you will inspect here, you will have to click on this network tab. Okay, once it is done, I will just click here on this get method. So it will call some API. So here you can see that request.in some and users colon page 2. So it will come with your experience. Once you do couple of times you would come to know that yes, this is the API which I am supposed to test. Here I can see the first API is my API which I want to test. Here you can see that the path is till here. Again, page equals to query param. Okay. If you click on this response, it is into JSON format. So you can click here raw button. So this is the response which is the expected, which will be the expected outcome of this API. So this is the main task is to validate this response. You can get some other details as well, like what is the token and what all things are required. As I said, this is a dummy website. The token and all is not required for testing of this website regress.in. The main important thing is your URL, the query param, and expected response. These three things is required. Okay. Okay. So let's open a Postman. We will do testing in Postman. Okay. So here I already have created one request. What you can do, you can create folders here as per your project need. Once folder is created, click on these three dots. It will say add a request. Once you click on add a request, this kind of request will be created. Okay, let me show you how to do it. Add a request simply, and it is asking what should be the name of this request. So I'm giving dummy request. Okay, click on this enter button. So here you can see that this dummy request has been created inside this request folder. Okay, so I'm not going to use that because I already have created this users request. Okay, so I will be using this request, and for dummy purpose I will tell you how to basically test get method, put method, post method, and one delete method. So four things we are going to learn here. Okay, so one here, if you see, the first thing would be your drop down. Here you can select get, post, put, delete. There are so many options related to API. So since this is a get method, I am selecting this get method. The first and the second thing which required for testing is this one, URL. So just copy this URL and paste it here. Second thing, what is the path of your API? So this is my path followed by query path. So I have provided those things here. Now, if this is done, I'm in the params. You can see if you have inserted something after question mark, by default in params which is coming. If you uncheck here, you can see that those things are getting, you know, this is getting disabled. So this is required because this is a query param. Okay, authorizations, we are not going to this API do not require any kind of token or any kind of authentications. So I'm not going to be giving that. If that is required, so you should be knowing what type of authentication is required. Like is it a bearer token or basic or auth 2.0? It depends on as per the API. If you have any questions regarding your authentication, you can contact your developers as well. Okay. In headers, again it should be a blank. And in body, we are not passing anything in the body. I will tell you when body will be required. Basically, body is required in case of post and put method. Since this is a get method, so body I have selected none. In the prerequisite, again, if you want to do some kind of activity before the execution, you can use this block. In the test block, I have added some test case. I will let you know like what I have done here. Okay, okay, okay. Now in settings, nothing is required. Just click on the send button. Once you click on the send button, here you can see that the response is getting displayed. So if you are doing it manually, you can taste this response one by one. Like the page count is 2 or per page is 6, total values this one. Inside the data there are one JSON file whose ID is 7 and it is showing some details of employee. So you can validate it manually. Okay, but again, if you're doing it manually, it is going to it will be a hectic task and it will be a repetitive task. What we can do, we can automate these things. What will happen if you are automating it? By default, when you click on the send button, by default some validation will happen. Okay, we can use that. So how to do that? we have a test block. Okay, now this is very important. Test block. Ideally, if you're testing any API, so the first thing which you will test this status code. What is the status code? Is it 200 or is it 201 or is it some other series of status code? It will be decided by as per your story. Like what is your story? What is your story is saying? Okay, but if it is a valid API, in that case, the status code should be 200. So the first test case is okay. PM.test. So basically, PM means Postman. We are testing it on Postman. So this is just a function. There is a function test which to call that method you will have to use PM.test. Here, what it is asking? It is asking you what is the test case name followed by function name. So it's a JavaScript. If you have some idea about the JavaScript, like how JavaScript works, it will be very easy for you. If not, then you can relate it with Java. In Java, public static void main. So let's suppose main method, then follow open bracket, close bracket, then followed by braces. So it is similar to that, but yes, this is JavaScript, and in JavaScript functions you will have to call this. You can provide name as function followed by open braces, close braces, and this bracket here it's closing till here. Okay, now here also we have provided one bracket, so this is the closure of that one. Okay, the first test case is pm.test. Means this is the first test case, pm.test. Second test case, third test case. The first test case is verify status code. Okay, now how to validate the status code is 200 or not? So for that, pm.response, again it's a method. Okay, if you have no idea about like all those methods, I will suggest you uh, practice for one time or two times. You would be used to, like you can do it at your end or without any help. Okay, here also if you click on this one, this arrow button, here you can generate some snippet of the code like what you want. Basically it will generate you, or it will give you some lines of code which you can use directly. But if you want to validate anything at the response level, so pm.response, and my requirement is the status code should be 200. So here I have used 2.have.status 200. So this is for validating a status code. Okay. So one first test case is done. Second testing, verify basic details. So what kind of basic details? Okay. In the response, I want to see if this page count is 2, if per page count is 6, if total page is 12, total pages is 2. I want to validate this thing. This is my just a basic test. What I will do, I will read the response into a variable where response equals to pm.response.json. So it will convert in the response into JSON format. Okay. So first thing would be storing Postman response into some variable. And this is the very important assertion, pm.expect. Basically, we are trying to assert something at the response level. Now, pm.expect. Here, response is a variable name which is containing the response. So what I'm saying, response dot per page. Why dot per page? Because response here, if you are calling response, it will carry all the JSON data. What I'm saying, whatever is there inside, if I want to go inside, so I will have to use dot. Response dot page, so it will give, okay, response dot give, it will, if you print this one, response dot per page, it will give you 2. If you will print response dot page, it will say the page value is 2. Response dot per page, it will say 6. Response dot total, it will say basically 12. Okay, total page, it will say again the respective value. So this is just reading the exact data from the JSON file. Okay, pm.expect is a assertion. I have read. Now I'm just, if you're trying to assert something, you should compare with some values, right? Like here we have used 2.have.status. So here we are, what you are saying, this value should be equals to some xyz or like 6 or 2. So what I'm saying, dot 2 dot equal parse int because if you see, this is in double quote, right? So this is, it will consider it as a string. So I will have to convert. Let's suppose you, if you are printing response dot page, it will say 2, but it it will return the output in the string format. But my requirement is I want to verify if it is a digit is true or not. What I will say, okay, dot equal parseInt. Okay, now it should, the value should be equal to some value xyz. So I have stored those value in the environment, in the environment variable. So I will go here in the environment. You can create your own environment. I have created this one, request data. There, what I have done, I have passed those value like page count equals to 2, total page count equals to 12, total page count like this one, first value, all the details I have kept here in this environment file. Okay, that is why I'm saying it should be equal to pm.environment.get. So what it will say, pm.environment, it will, if you call this method pm.environment.get, and in the double quote I am passing per page count, so it will come here, it will try to search the value. Oh, this is the per page count, it will return 6. Similarly, if I'm saying pm.environment.get page count, so what it will do, it will come here, it will give me the value of this one, 2. Okay, getting it? Similarly, you can get total page from the environment, and I'm just comparing from the response. Basically, comparison is happening in between the hardcode data and trying to match if response is having those details or not. Okay, so this is just a second test case. Okay, now the third test case, verify support details. Now let's see what kind of support details it is having. Okay, so here in there is a JSON, in this is a main JSON. Okay, and inside it there is a small JSON support. There we have URL and text. I want to verify if this URL is correct or not. So what I will do, again I will store response into some variable where response. Okay, if if you are done with this, again same validation pm.expect. Now here I'm going to that path, response.support.url, means response, this is the main JSON dot support. So where the support is here, dot URL. So till here it will give me this value, whatever is there. Now I'm comparing that value. Okay, if you see here in the environment file, there are two types of variable, one at the global level and then one at the, at the user level basically. So I have declared those things, this URL into this global variable. So in global variable there is a base URL. Okay, now I want to read value of global variable. I will use pm.global.get. If you want to read, where you, if you want to read it from the local variable, so you will have to use pm.environment.get. If it is available in the global variable, pm.global.get, and I'm just reading this value. So in global variable there is one variable, request base URL. So I'm just reading it, and what I'm saying, this support URL 2 dot equal, it should be equal to this URL. If this is correct, then again do the another assertions like response dot support dot text. Okay, now what is the text? Here the text is to keep requests or whatever it is written. I have copied those things, and what I'm saying, pm dot expect response dot support dot text, it should be equal to, means 2 dot equal, and that hard coded value. Again, if you want to pass this in some like local variable or global variable, what you can do, you can copy this data, you can come here, you can declare another variable name like message or URL text, and you can pass those values here. Okay, here also and here also you can pass those values. So what it will do, it will basically try to match the response.support.text to the value available in this variable. Okay, so this is the third test case. Similarly, there is just another test case. Let's suppose verify total number of users. Okay, so total number of users is what? Total number of users. Let's see what it is trying to, response.data.length. Okay, now for that what I will say here, it is quite difficult to go through these uh, you know JSON file. So there are so many websites. If you type JSON beautifier, okay, so you will see lots of websites where you can just copy your JSON file and it will basically format those files. Okay, what I'm trying to match here, let's suppose here, okay, okay, no, I'm just trying to tree view. Okay, view code. Okay, I want to verify if, okay, before that, this is the string having it because it is followed by colon, and this is in double quote. This is a JSON array because it is starting from this one, this, what do you say, a square bracket. This is a JSON file. This is a JSON inside a JSON because it is starting from this open braces and close braces. Okay, again this is a string value. So what you said, data, this is a array, JSON array basically, and this is a JSON. Now the my next assertion, I want that inside the data there should be six details. Okay, so let's count it: first, second, third, fourth, five, six. I want to verify this, if JSON inside this data JSON array is six or not. Means this is a first JSON, this is a second JSON, this is a third JSON, fourth, fifth, sixth. I want to verify inside this data JSON array there should be six JSON. I want to verify it. So what I will do, I will read the response again and I will keep into this var response. Now what I'm saying, pm.expect, again pm.expect means I'm doing some assertion. What I'm saying, response.data dot length. I'm calling this method response.data means I'm calling response.data, and after that I'm calling dot length. So it will give me length of this JSON array. It will say the count is six. Okay, now I want to compare it, if it is equal to 6 or not. If it is working fine, or if it will be having 6 JSON inside that data JSON array, it will say true, else it will say false. So this assertion is done. Okay, now let's suppose I want to verify JSON array data. I want to verify JSON array data. Some of you who would be interested in validating this first name, last name, if this first name is blank or not, last name should not be blank, or email should not be blank, ID should not be blank. If you have some kind of you know requirement, or let's suppose you want to see if Michael is available inside this JSON data array or not. Okay, here there so many users are there whose first name is this, last name is this. I want to verify if Michael is available inside this JSON data array or not. So what I can use, again pm.test, this is my function name. Okay, I have stored Postman response into this variable response. Now what I will say, I will store JSON array data into some another variable. For that, what I've said, response.data means response.data means I'm storing these many values into this variable, which is again bringing data from this response, and response is this is a Postman response. Now I'm going to use for loop. So in for loop, it is very easy. There should be some conditions, initial conditions, okay, and some again here we are doing increment, and basically initialization is happening here, and there are certain conditions, and increment is happening. So what I'm saying, for first of all, search, go into the first JSON and verify if that name is having this or this Michael or not. If not, then go ahead and use another JSON and again do your testing. So for that, what I've done, JSON data in the bracket I'm passing I. It's all about Java. Like you all might be knowing like how for loop works. What I'm saying, JSON data array index I dot first name. So it will come here basically first name. It will say Michael. What I'm saying is equal to Lawson. It will say no. This is not equal to Lawson. So what it will do here, itself it will fail. If it is working fine, so it will say okay. go into okay, verify if email. Here you can see the one email field is there. Email should be like this one. So if it is correct, then it's fine. So what is the validation here? For the first time, it will be 0. Last name means Lawson. If it is correct, then its email ID should be this one. Validation is done. Okay. If you want to validate other fields, you can use your own logic and you can do the validation. Here I'm just giving a brief examples like how to work in the main response at at the main response level, and how to jump into the some internal JSON or internal JSON array, how to do all those operations. Okay, so I'm just giving those details. Okay, so this is some high level test cases. I don't think this is required for you. Okay, okay, now there are some, let's suppose if someone is saying my requirement is this ID should be number, this email should be string, this first name should be again a string, last name should also be a string, and avatar should also be a string. This is my requirement. So, okay, so for that, what I need, I will need this response. I need this data JSON array. I have read here. You can see from the Postman. I am reading that response. Secondary, I'm reading data array, and I'm using this for loop. What I'm saying, JSON data array index of I dot id 2 dot be a number. Similarly, I'm saying this email to be a string. What I'm saying next, first name to be a string. Last name also you can use this line and just pass it last under name. So it will say, okay, I'm just calling this one. So if we want to validate the type of data, you can use these things. If you want to, do some testing at the data level, so this can help you. Okay. So this was all about this, get method. Now run it again. Here you can see result section. So some of the test cases are failing. Verify status code. This is working fine. Verify basic details. Okay. This is not working fine. Verify support details. It means, okay. So what it is saying, expected this one deeply to undefined. Somehow it is not able to read that environment variable. Okay, I will tell you like why this is failing. Mainly two test cases are failing. Okay, so which of them are failing? Verify support details means here something is failing, right? pm.global.get regress support URL. Now support URL regress base URL. Okay, and that variable is not available basically. So that is why I say, okay, what I will do, I will copy this one and I will pass this value in the global variable, and I will try to copy it from here base URL. I will pass this value and I will keep it here in the current value. Here also you can pass those values. Now save it. Okay, go to that request and call this. So you can see that now pass count is 6. Again, you can verify basic details. Okay, 6 deeply equal to none. Okay, verify basic details. So I will go to that test case basic details. Okay. Now what it is saying assertion. Okay, something is failing. Again, this variable would not be available into that file, or there would be some reason. We need to do FA for that. So if you want to see the body, you can click this body section. If you want to see the results, here you can see the result. And this was all about this get method. Now this is automated way, like we have done automation of this get method, and we have added almost all validations. Like what we have added, like we have validated some of the this per page count, total pages count. We are also testing this URL and text message. We are validating data type of data JSON array. We are validating some other fields as well. Okay, so it's all about writing your own logic. It may happen that I am testing it in 5 lines or 6 lines. It may happen that you can write only 2 lines of code and that will be enough for you. The main thing you should know how to use this pm.expect, how to read the JSON file, how to validate, how to match, or how to use this to.equal method, how to read environment variable, how to read global variable. So this is for pm.environment.get, pm.global.set. So you can go through those Postman documents, okay, to get more idea about how to how to basically write code, or how to write code at the test level. In this video, I'm just giving you a brief example about this get method. Similarly, let's suppose if you want to create some data, okay, so we will be using this put method. Now let's go to that website. Let's see what kind of services they have provided. Here we have post method. Okay, now what it is saying, this is my base URL. Okay, this is the path, and this is the body required for creating any data, and the response would be 201. If you're creating any new thing, it will say okay, give me the status code will be in that case 201, and this would be a response. So it's a very simple API. What you need to do, open your Postman, create a new request. Okay, I have kept this request base URL at the global variable, at the global level, request base URL. That is why to read that, what I'm saying, in the double braces, I'm just passing that variable name. So my task is done. No need here. You have seen, I am I am passing at the request level in this post method. I'm keeping that variable in the global file, and I'm using this double braces followed by the API path. This is done. As I said, for creating any new data, you will need some kind of input payload. So you will have to go into this body, select this raw, and in the drop down select this JSON file, because we are going to provide this into JSON format. What you can do, you can copy this payload and you can pass it here. Now, if you click on the send button, you will see the response. Okay, the response is 201 and name is Morpheus, job leader, ID 721, created at this date is coming. So this is a manual testing. Now I want to automate it. If a status code is 201 or not, if this name is Morphos or not. So what I will have to do, again, I will follow the same steps. You will have to click here in the test, pm.test verify status code. Here already I have written the code, verify details of user created. Basically, I want to verify the details. Okay, what I'm saying, I'm just reading the response. I'm trying to, assert something. Response dot name should be equal to Morphos. Okay, so if you have kept into some variable, use those variables. Else, what I will do, I will pass it here directly. Now I want to verify this job is equal to this. Okay, if leader or not. Okay, let's suppose I want to do it, or I want to add only two assertions. Now I will click on again here. Here you can see that in the test result, both of the test cases are working fine. So the main difference in between this get method and that post method is, in post method it will be required for creating new data, and it will ask you provide me some kind of payload, input payload, or input JSON file, or input parameters, or body. People may say anything like what is the body of this services, what is the input payload, or what is xyz, but all the concepts are same. It's a body for creating new data. Okay, so this is a post method. How it works, if you have provided into some global variable, so just pass those in double braces, it will read those values. Okay, once this is done, next would be put method. As I said, put is basically for updating some details. Okay, let's see if they have provided some APIs related to put or not. So yes, here you can see the put method we have. I will click here. Now it is saying this is the API for updating the data. So base URL, and this is the path, and this is okay, this is the body. So I'm just what you can do, you can create another request for put, select this put method, pass those details. In the body, if you see, here we have created a user whose name was Morpheus and job was leader. Now I want to update it. Okay, so let's suppose I will copy this path. Okay, now job was, well, I want to say no, his job is not leader, his job is manager. Okay, while creating data, some mistake happened, and by mistake I passed job as leader. Now I want to say no, he's not a leader, he's a manager. So I pass those things, and I'm just selecting this JSON file. I will click on that send button. So here you can see that name is Morphos and job is manager. Means whatever I provided, it is working fine. Okay. So in the test method also, you can add those assertions like verify update, or update date is coming or not. This updated, it should not be a blank basically. So I'm saying it should be a string. You can add assertions like if name is job or name is Morpheus, job is manager or not. You can add those assertions like we have done in this get while testing this get method and post method. Okay, let's suppose next time if you want to see if it's able to update this job or not. So what I will say, job is team lead. I will call this method. So again here you can see that this those details are getting reflected and the status code is 200. In case of creating new data, the status code is 201. So this is a way how we can automate your APIs. There are so many APIs. The main difference would be selecting this method and passing this body. If it's update call or create call, in that case you will need body. In rest of the case, no need of providing those body. Okay, so this was it, like how to automate APIs in Postman. If you have any queries, just leave a comment in after watching this video. Thank you so much.